Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Wesley, and today I will be showing you a tutorial on how to make beats inside of Audacity. This is a very simple and easy method. This is probably going to be the easiest way you can make beats, and especially if you're a beginner and you don't really know anything about audio engineering, this is a very simplistic method that you should learn, should be able to learn pretty fast, especially when you're comparing this using Audacity to something like FL Studio. That is a much more complex music software. It takes a lot longer to learn the features of that. But if you don't have an understanding of Audacity, I'll go over a quick overview of what is going on when you first load it up. So make sure you have Audacity installed. I'll go ahead and leave a link down below for that, as well as the loops and samples website that I get all of these loops for to make these raps. So when you load up Audacity, the first thing that you're going to see is this grayed out rectangle. This is actually going to be where your timeline exists. It's going to have your stereo tracks, or mono if you have mono tracks. You're going to be able to move around the loops and samples, edit them the way you want, match them into different areas, even adjust the audio levels and add some effects on them. Now, coming up here, there are a bunch of tabs here, and for a beginner, this may look enticing, like what is all this? You don't really need to worry about too much of this when you first start off. Like you might use, add a new track. You might add a track in there, and you might use a couple of these effects. But a lot of these effects are actually more geared towards vocals. So unless you're doing vocals, and if you guys want a tutorial on how to mix and master vocals in Audacity as well, I could bring that too. I do that also, but you're not going to be probably using the compressor on the loops that you download. You're not going to be using a delay probably. I mean, there's going to be a couple things you're going to be using. For example, fade in, fade out, and I'll show you how that works once we get a little bit further into the video. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump over to the website where we're going to get the loops and samples. Okay, so the website we're going to go to for these loops and samples is called looperman.com. This is a very good resource to have for making these beats, because it's also 100% free like Audacity, and there's so many different loops and samples to use on this website. I've actually used this website for probably 8 to 10 years, and I never used another one. And plus, a lot of the others cost money to use too, so you can't go wrong with free. All you have to do is make an account, and you'll be able to start downloading these loops and samples. So after you have your account made and you're logged in, click right here on this loops and samples tab. And the first thing that you're going to see is this search for loops box. We're going to come back to this. This is going to be like the second way you can kind of search for the loops. But what we're first going to do is what I do first to make it easier is I come down to this box here down here on the right, the popular loop search tags. These are going to be different categories. There's going to be like hi-hats, different instruments in here, different styles of music, and even like beats and stuff replicating like famous rappers. Yeah, you can really take a look at what you want your song to sound like, what style you want it to be in. You can kind of base it on one of these go into one of these loop search tags and try to find what you're looking for. But just as an example, we're going to go ahead and go into chill here. And if you take, of course, you're going to be like taking a lot of time looking around, and you want to spend your time finding what goes with what. You want things to sound like they go together, or at least somewhat go together. So let's go ahead and keep looking down here. So let's just, for an example, we'll click on this pluck chill trap loop here. Okay, so let's say you want to use that pluck chill trap loop. The first thing you want to look at is the BPM of that loop. Because you're going to want all the other loops and samples to have the same exact BPM. And the reason why is because, let's say we have this one that's 135, and then we're using this one that's 76. These are going to be completely off beat, off tempo. This is going to be much lower than the chill trap loop here. So make sure that always that the BPM is the exact same. And so for an example, if you went and downloaded this, what I do is I actually have a separate folder made. So it comes to the download folder here. And if I just left it in here and try to come back and look for it, it's going to be very confusing. So what I end up doing is I end up just actually having a separate folder made, and I have one here in under looperman, it's the tutorial folder for this video. I actually already have a lot of loops already pre-installed for this video, but you could just organize your loops into a separate folder, and it makes it a lot easier. So we're gonna bring this back in here, and actually we don't need this, so we're just gonna go ahead and delete it. But yeah, that's one way to find loops. That's an easy way to find loops that you're looking for in a specific category. Now, what you're going to want to do next is actually click on the BPM here beside tags. So this is 135. You could have a different, you're probably going to have a different BPM, but just click here, and if we're just looking through here, you see that they're all 135 BPM. So all these tracks are 135, or all these loops are 135. And this gives you a good option to kind of look for stuff that might sound unique, that might go together in different ways, because these are all going to be random loops, or a lot of them are going to be random loops that are 135 BPM. So that's one way to actually search and look for loops and find them. The other way, which I mainly just use if I can't, like let's say I'm looking through here and I can't find a certain drum beat or a drum pattern that I want in my song. I would come up here to the search for loops, click on category, hit drum, and you want to have the tempo match what you're looking for. So make sure you have the tempo in both of these boxes. In this case, it's 135. And of course, you could always use like genre, keywords, but to keep it simple, we'll just stick with drum as a category. Click find loops, and it pulls up a bunch of loops that are 135 BPM for drums. And we'll go ahead and just okay, so yeah, that's basically how you find your loops and samples. That's probably the easiest method, the method I just showed you. And once you have all those loops and samples compiled into a folder, it's time to go into Audacity and start creating your beat. So let's go ahead and jump back in there. Okay, so we're back here in Audacity, and the first step is to have the folder with all the loops ready to go and ready to import into the software. And you're going to want to find the loop to start that you want to start the song off with, that you want to be like the first thing heard in your beats. So I'm going to use one of these melodies. Let me just find which one it is. And I should have, if you want to rename these, you can to know which ones are which. I should have done that, but I forgot to. So let's go ahead and find which one we want to be the start of the song here. Okay, so we're gonna just for this tutorial, we're gonna use this one as the start of this song, as the start of this beat. All you have to do is left click and drag in, and there we are. We have the beat, the loop on the timeline. And what you'll want to do is you'll actually want to come up to this minus magnifying glass here and hit it a few times to zoom out, and you'll be able to see a much wider view of the timeline. And the reason why you want to do this is because you're going to be copying and pasting this loop a few times. So, and that essentially what that will do is it will just continue looping it, and it can work for most of the song, or if not all the song if we wanted to. So go ahead and double click on the track. Double left click on the track, and that selects the whole track, or you can actually just like left click here at the end and drag and select it, but either way works. So Control C to copy, and then we're going to click here. And so when you copy the track, make sure that you click off the track, so somewhere over here on the timeline, and then come to the end of the track, and you'll see a yellow line appear. And you want that yellow line to appear because it means that these two loops will be connected, and there won't be any space in between the tracks. So there won't be any breakage, and you want this to flow as natural as possible for when you're making a beat. So go to that yellow line, left click, and then do Control V. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and just do that a few times. So we'll just do that a couple times more here. Okay, and we have our first loop in the works. Now I'll show you how it kind of just flows right here. So that black line right there, you'll notice it just keeps going. Okay, so and Now, some loops you will find that they haven't really, done them perfectly. So sometimes you will hear like a little static or a little cracking noise. And I heard a little one there, but it doesn't really matter because this is just like a tutorial. I'm just showing you guys how to do this. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, let's go ahead and then get our second melody in there. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get our second melody in there, which is going to be the next thing that's coming in on the song. And so that's how it kind of works, is you just kind of go with what's coming next. You kind of put in what's coming next before anything else. So we're going to go ahead and drag this in there. And it creates another stereo track. And we're going to want this melody, this loop right here to come in, not at the beginning. We're going to want it to come in somewhere else. So let's go ahead and hit this time shift tool up here, which is like the little line with the arrows. So hit that. Make sure your project is paused or stopped, not paused, because it won't let you time shift unless it's stopped. So make sure that this is stopped here. So let's go ahead and time shift and find a spot that we would like this to be at. Okay. And so that seems like a, let's go ahead and see how this sounds. It seems like a pretty good spot to have it at. And you see how it just like it connects with that yellow line. So that's really kind of your guidance when you're working with this, and it kind of just tells you like, hey, you're good, and you don't have to try to spend too much time matching things up. So let's go ahead and okay, so that sounds really nice together. We're going to go ahead and expand this as well, make some more copies of this loop. And yeah, so we now have a nice foundation for our song. Let's go ahead and add what we're going to add next. So we have a snare clap or a snare effect. Let's go ahead and find where that's at. And it might be, I think it's right here. Okay, so we're going to drag this in. It will create another track here, and we're going to find a spot where we would like this snare to be as well. So let's go ahead and use our time shift tool to drag this. And sorry about that, that's my phone going off in the background. But yeah, let's find a spot for this snare to come in. And now sometimes these loops are, like I said, are not like perfectly made. So this snare might actually be slightly off from when I originally was checking it out. So let's just give that a listen. And yeah, it sounds like it's a little slow compared to the melody up here. So there's a quick, easy way around that. And all you have to do is zoom in really far, because you're not gonna want to move it too much, but zoom in is like maybe about right there, and get the time shift tool, and we're just going to drag it. And as you see, when you're really far zoomed in, it does you barely move it, because like look at how it's counting in milliseconds. So now we're gonna go back and listen to that. So that's definitely sounding a little better. It's still a little off, but it's not terrible. So we have the first melody up here, the second, and then we have the snare. Let's go ahead and add. Let's go ahead and first expand these. So we're going to expand these out again, and the same with up here. Let's go ahead and an easier way to do this is actually just you can actually select all of these, copy, and then you can like do it like that. You can literally just copy multiple of them at once, which is nice. So we'll do 3 here, and then we'll have 1 at the end, because I mean it's not reaching there yet. So yeah, there we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with this. Well, actually, the snare we're only going to have once, because we're going to have the bass and stuff come in next. So let's go ahead and delete that snare we have there. So now we're going to bring the bass in, and let's find where that bass is at. So we drop the bass in. We're going to find where the bass can go, a good spot for the bass to go into. And I think a good spot is right after that snare. So let's see. Okay, so let's see how that sounds. Okay, that's sounding really good so far. Now, you can either do it like in the middle of the project or at the end, but you definitely want to make audio adjustments too. Like you definitely don't want like the bass to be peaking this high and being like overpowering the rest of the song. And so we're actually going to quickly adjust that. And all you have to do is select it, go to Effect, go to Amplify, and you can actually de-amplify this, and it will basically just reduce those waveforms a bit. And we're just going to reduce them not too much, but maybe by like negative. We'll go -2, and you can also type it in here. It might make it a little easier. So as you can see, that drops the waveforms down a bit. It's not peaking as high. It's not going to affect the song as much and overpower it. So let's give that a quick listen. Okay, so that's sounding really nice so far, and we might want to make some changes to these melodies as well with the audio levels. So we're actually gonna want to de-amplify these a bit as well. This melody right here, it's a little bit overpowering to the top one. And then there's another way you can also like make things louder or quieter. It's this this bar right here, this gauge. It's just simply affecting the gain. So like you can turn it down decibels or up decibels, but the amplification method is, in my opinion, better. So let's go ahead and go to amplify, and we're going to drop these down, not too much, but maybe just like, we'll do -1. So we drop those down -1, and we can go ahead and actually raise these up just a bit because they're a little low. So we're going to go ahead and do these. Let's raise these up. We'll raise these up 1. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, and this melody is still a little loud, so we can actually just use the gain bar now, and we're going to reduce it. Let's see what -2 does to it. Okay, and if you want to hear a track individually, like if you don't want to hear all these other ones playing, you just hit solo, and you can kind of gauge it that way too, which is nice. And you'll see that bar up here at the top. You'll see that bar is actually playing, and you can kind of compare. Like you can hit solo, and then while this is playing, and then hit solo on this, and see what the audio levels are comparing to with each other. So let's go ahead and. We actually might want to raise these because I didn't realize this was actually that low. So we might actually want to raise these back up to 0. Okay, so we have a few more things we can do to the rap before we're done. Sorry if this video is too long. I know beginners watching this, they're probably, a lot of people probably won't know anything about audio engineering, and I really want to just make it a easy and understandable process. So now we're going to go to. We have this like little choir thing here, and we're going to actually add this in as well. So let's drop it on the timeline. This is the last loop that we actually have in this folder. So we're going to go ahead and use the time shift tool. Time shift this all the way over here. Okay, so we have the choir at the end right after that bass happens. And we might even put the snare over the choir, but let's just see how this sounds. Okay, so we're going to want to extend this choir loop a bit more, so copy, click at the end there, and I'm going to actually do something, show you another effect that you can do, which is pretty cool. So the choir is going to start off at normal pitch, and then we're going to actually have the choir actually drop to a lower pitch here on the second loop. So change pitch, and let's start with something like -20,000. And then we can also drop the pitch even more by just selecting the second half of it. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and change the pitch on that too. And we'll just do it another -10,000. We don't want to do it too much. It might start sounding kind of weird. So Okay, and you see how it goes from normal pitch to a lower pitch, and then to an even lower pitch. And so that's a cool effect you can do to kind of just add another layer on top of your beats if you're gonna have like background choir or something. And so we're gonna actually finish this song out, and we're gonna maybe try to do something cool with the bass. But let's go ahead and actually during this choir, we can actually adjust these audio levels a bit. We'll first we'll raise the choir levels just a bit, so we'll raise them by 2, and maybe we'll drop these. Oops, did not mean to do that. Go back up here. We'll drop these down a bit on amplification, not too much, just like negative 0.6, and let's do the same for up here. So select those. Okay, now let's hear if we can. Now let's see how the choir sounds over that. Okay, that sounds really nice. And so we're really close to the end of the song. We just need to finish it out now. I wonder if we should have this snare be over the choir part. Let's go ahead and see how that would sound. That sounds nice. That sounds really nice. So we're going to keep that. But we're going to, once again, do that slight shift to the left because it's a little off. And, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We need to actually zoom in more because it might be moving it too much. There we go. Let's see how that sounds. So I think it's about as good as it's gonna get. It's a little bit off that snare sample or loop, but we actually might want to lower that snare just a bit, just have it more of in the background. So we're gonna de-amplify that as well, and we're just gonna de-amplify it to negative 3.6 and see what that does. Let's try one more thing with that. Is there any way we can actually change the pitch? Let's see what happens if we change the pitch of that, which would be interesting. I just want to see what happens here. So negative 23. Okay, I actually like the pitch lowered on those snares for that part. So let's go ahead and finish this song out and then we'll be done. We're gonna, once again, copy and paste. Okay, there we go. Here we go, and let's go ahead and add our bass back in. Copy that a couple more times and then we'll be close to done. And we'll remove the last 2 of these. Okay, and one more little thing we can actually do is we can kind of create a break in the bass to just kind of give like a little bit of a uniqueness to the song. So I'll show you what I mean. You know what? Actually, we're gonna have this continue. Actually, it might sound really cool. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, and let me show you what I meant by making a break in the bass. So we'll quickly do that, and then we'll be done with this tutorial. Okay, so we're gonna find a point where we want to mute the bass and have it come back in. Let's go ahead and see how that sounds. So we're gonna, to mute, you actually do Control L. So if you wanna mute a particular part of the song or just mute a whole track, you just do Control L. And you see what it kind of did there? It kind of gave like a break and then came back in. And it came back in at the point in the bass that had a lot going on. So it actually kind of created a cool effect. So you can also do little things like that. So now we're just going to fade out the song. And to help us with this, we can actually just click this black line. So we want to make these two merge together so we can do a full fade in or fade out. And so you'll just simply click that black line and it will connect the two loops together. Same with here. And then if we go down, we don't need to do it with the bass because it already is like a full size of two of these. So let's go ahead and fade this out. So once again, just select it, go to Effects, Fade Out. Select this one, go to Effects, Fade Out. And go to this one and fade out that bass as well. And now we have the finished song. Let's go ahead and listen to it, and then we'll be done with this video. So yeah, let's do it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it did help for anybody that is just getting into audio production and needed a simple way to make beats that doesn't take a bunch of complex thinking. So I think Audacity is the perfect program for anybody just starting out, or even people that already have knowledge of audio engineering. I think Audacity is great for really anybody, and I still use it to this very day. But if that tutorial did help you guys, be sure to leave a like. And if you want any more tutorials, just let me know down below in the comments. Like if you want me to bring one on mixing and mastering rap vocals, I can definitely do that. So just whatever you guys want, let me know down below. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.